Hey everyone, my name is Senia Cork, and the topic I'll be discussing today will be food insecurity. So, basically, I'm going to start off by explaining what exactly is food insecurity. So, basically, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA for short, defines food insecurity as a lack of consistent access to food, enough food for an active, healthy life. It is important to know that though hunger and food insecurities are closely related, they are distinct concepts. Hunger refers to a personal physical sensation of discomfort, while food insecurity refers to a lack of available financial resources for food at the household level. So basically, that's just explaining what food insecurity is and the whole concept and the rundown of it. During these times, it's been really hard for people to gain access to all the necessities that they need due to COVID. So this has been going on for before COVID even struck, because research was done in 2018, and it was estimated that approximately 1 out of 9 Americans were food insecure, equating to over 37 million Americans, including more than 11 million children who are always scarce with the process of food insecurity. So, with that being stated, what does food insecurity affect? So, I feel like food insecurity affects any and everyone: seniors, children, African Americans, Latinos, rural communities, basically lower income families would struggle with food insecurities, basically. So there is no single face of food insecurity. It impacts every community in the United States. To learn more about child and overall food insecurities in your state, including congressional districts and county level data, there was research conducted to help and better navigate what communities need help and are struggling the most with food insecurities, and also those who are struggling but somewhat have a control over the food insecurities with the population that they have within the community of within their community. So the next thing would be the ranges of food security. So while households have described either food secure or food insecure, there are 4 levels of food security that describes the ranges of households and what they go through with their process of how food insecurity affects them. So you have high food insecurity, marginal food security, low food security, and very low food security. And basically what that is with a high food security households have had no problems or anxiety about consistently accessing adequate food, and they're able to gain the supplies that they need on a day-to-day basis to supply themselves and their families. So that's basically a high food security. A marginal food security now is a household that has problems or anxiety at times accessing adequate amounts of food, but the quality, variety, and quantity of their food were not substantially reduced in that process of them struggling to gain food access during those times. Now, the third one would be a low food security. A low food security is households reduce the quality, variety, and disparity of their diets, but the quantity of food intake and normal eating patterns were not substantially disrupted. So, with that being stated, these households struggle with gaining food access, food security, basically, and the intake of what they have due to diets, and diets being a restriction for them to have this going on with them having food insecurities. And then the fourth one would be very low security. So at times during the year, eating patterns or one or more households members were disrupted and food intake reduced because the household lacked money or other resources for food. Now, with that being stated, since COVID has happened, it's been a lot of changes when it comes to food and the amounts of food that someone can take. And I feel as though it shouldn't be any limit to an amount. I understand we're going through a pandemic, but it's people that really need the food to survive, to sustain themselves and their family, because this is all they have to survive. It's already hard enough. Let's not make it impossible for them to gain access to stuff that they need. During this process of COVID striking, it's been hard for people that are really struggling in lower income families and lower communities to receive benefits such as WIC for their kids, with supplying milk and stuff, because that's an ongoing thing with babies being born during quarantine. And also, they're having ridiculous stipulations to what people can do with being able to gain benefits for food stamps. I believe that that's just ridiculous, because even though it's people that, sometimes would try to seem like they're going through these times and not really be going through those times, they're able to gain access to this. But people that actually genuinely need it they're suffering, and their family is suffering as a result. So that when the income shows that they need it, everything shows that they need it. It's documentation to show that these people need these resources. And I just feel as though since COVID happened, the government hasn't been putting as much urgency to make sure that these people and their families are taken care of, and that these claims are being processed for them to gain access to food stamps, gain access to WIC to provide for their babies, because it's hard. So with doing this research, I'm very grateful and fortunate that I'm able to provide for myself, and I'm grateful that I can do that, because there's other people in the world that genuinely cannot do it and are struggling to feed themselves, sometimes just alone. And I could just only imagine how bad that would be with having kids in a situation. I just believe that it's a very unfortunate situation to go through, but I believe that bad situations won't be happening for a long time. It's just a matter of time before things begin to shift and work in your good graces. So most people just continue to have faith and push through for yourself, push through for your kids, and just know that better days are to come, and you will get the help that you need and deserve to provide for yourself and your family, because times are hard. Times are really hard. So yeah, that concludes my segment on food insecurity.